Okay, so you started off as someone who wanted to be an actor. You wanted all of these different things. Where did those aspirations come from for you originally?
I started off in ballet since I was 3 years old. I was actually an associate member of the Royal Ballet in London. And it was all about performing and like telling a story through dance. So I think I got my love for performing through that. And then my brother, when I was like 11, got asked to audition for this movie. So I went along with him, and the casting director sort of looked at me and she said, like, have you ever considered going into acting? Like you're young, you're like cute and little, like maybe you should try doing it. So I did, and that's kind of how I got into it. Um, but I already had like a love and passion for performing through dance.
How old were you at this point?
11, I think I
Wow.
was when I started going to like actual classes every week. I was 11 years old. Yeah.
Wow. And how did you get into the Royal Ballet?
You just audition. Like
Yeah.
it was I've always been like whatever I do, I want to be really, really good at it and like
Mhm.
do my best. And it just so happened that I fell into ballet because my parents like made me do it basically. Every girl in my town did ballet. If you I don't know if this is it now, but it was quite traditional. Like, 20 years ago, it was like all the girls would go to the local ballet school and all the boys would go play football at the local football group. I
Gotcha.
don't know. So I just did that, and then I wanted to be like the best at it. So I was like, I want to audition for the Royal Ballet Associates, and I
Did
did.
you
And
go
then
into the audition thinking like, I think I got a good shot at getting this, or were you just, I have no idea?
no, absolutely not. Like I've never been genetically very blessed for ballet either. Like I've got very short legs. There's a reason I don't do it now. Very short legs. Like turnout is really important in ballet. I don't have that. I have very flat feet, which is also really bad for ballet. But I had the passion, which got me so far. But I probably never could have really made a career out of it. So yeah.
So when the lady comes to you and says, "Hey, have you ever considered acting?" What is your instinct at 11?
Honestly, my brother's doing it, so I want to do it. Like it
Ah.
really wasn't like I mean, I loved performing. My dad used to we used to go on holiday to Cornwall in the UK, which is like a little beach town, always raining. And he used to dig me stages out in the beach, on the beach, sorry. And I would just give random shows on the beach to my parents. So I always loved performing. And then when my brother got asked to do it, I maybe it was a bit of jealousy or like he's older than me, he's doing it, so I want to do it. But then I fell in love with it after attending
Were
these
you someone
classes.
who was like, I want to do movies, I want to do TV, or I know obviously theater is a huge thing in Britain, and a lot of actors come out of theater. Was that where you were thinking when they mentioned that?
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't thinking like that's. I mean, I wanted to be a doctor for so long,
Really?
up until I was maybe 14. That's a story in itself. Like when I actually decided to do I wanted it to be my career.
Yeah.
But I literally just went, and then I sort of fell in love with acting. And at
Mhm.
the time, it was mainly just for the confidence I got from it.
Mm.
I was although I loved performing, I was extremely shy. Like if you were to
Mm.
put me in front of a group of people, I couldn't sing, I couldn't do anything. I was just way too shy. But this acting group was insane for like just putting you out of your comfort zone. It was actually really good. It was
Mhm.
free. But under 11s and over 18s, it was completely free. And you went
Oh.
once a week for 2 hours. I think it's what I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think they've gone out of business now,
Oh.
which really sucks because they were amazing. But obviously if they're doing it for free, it's like hard to make a business out of it. But yeah, it was amazing for just building me up as a person and my character. And then when I was 14, I did the local pantomime. And do you have
Oh.
that in like, are you from the US, right?
Yeah, I'm from the
Um,
US.
yeah,
But I'm
do you have
familiar with pantomime.
pantomimes?
It's not a big thing here, but obviously other places this is a very old art, very traditional art.
Yeah, so in the UK, it's massive. Like every town has its pantomime at Christmas, and it's usually an 8-week run. And I was in my pantomime as like a dancer and as
Mhm.
part of the children's cast. And I'd never considered performing as a career before that. But then
Mm.
I was in this professional show, and there were people so much older than me doing this as their job. And that's sort of when I started to learn about all the different options. So I think at the time, theatre became the thing I assumed I would do
Mm.
because I was doing theatre in that show. All the people doing it also did theatre. So that's sort of what I found out the most. And so I kind of had it in my head for a long time that it would be theatre that I ended up doing. But then it sort of transitioned into TV and screen over time.
Oh, that's fascinating. Pantomime is so it's such a fun thing to go and watch. I feel like over here, my parents took me to the ballet every single winter to watch the Nutcracker. It's like one of our traditions here. And whenever I remember like growing up, like tell people that they're like you go to the ballet, it's like it's almost like considered like an archaic, old-timey old person thing here. But when you get to go to like ballet and pantomime and see like a lot of these old arts, you're like, this is unbelievable. So much fun to get to do.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah, and
what
doing it twice a day, every day as well was crazy. Like it was a lot, yeah, but it was amazing.
so at what point here does things start to sort of transition for you and like social media start to take over? Like how old were you when you got social media?
I nowadays I guess I would be considered quite old. When I got it,
Mm.
I think I didn't get TikTok until I was 17.
Oh,
And I
okay.
got Instagram. I did get Instagram a lot younger,
Mm.
because I used it as like a messaging platform, but actually
Mm.
posting and doing that maybe 13, 14, which at
Mm.
the time felt early, but I think now kids are getting Instagram at like 9.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
it's
don't quite
crazy
know.
now. It's crazy now.
Yeah,
So, did you get TikTok specifically? Like, I'm gonna make content. I'm gonna put myself out there.
absolutely not. No,
Really?
I never ever thought this would be my career at all. Um, I mean, I posted, I made those cute little like TikTokery videos, but they didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in this video of a Russian TikToker, and me and my
Mm.
friend were doing accents, and we did American accents, and then he was like fooled, thought we were American, and then at the end we said we weren't, and it blew up basically, and I got like 30,000 followers overnight from that. And that terrified me because I was 17 and
Oh
I
my
didn't want to
gosh.
do social media either. So I
Mm.
completely shut down everything, and didn't touch social media again for like 2 years. And in
Really?
that year window was when I went to drama school in London,
Hmm.
moved to London, and sort of started pursuing my acting career. And then about 2 years ago, I picked social media back up again, and then I started pursuing that. So it's kind of been, I haven't really done both simultaneously yet. And that's what I'm trying to do
Mm.
now. It's kind of been like just acting or just social media.
Mm.
I switch between lives, whereas what I'm really trying to do now is both at the same time.
Do you remember that, like, what was most terrifying for you that first night when you wake up and, like, all of a sudden tens of thousands of people have followed you?
Honestly, just that my face had been seen so much, I think,
Mm.
was sort of seen so much without my control over it.
Mm.
Um, because obviously it was somebody else's video, and I had never done social media, and it was just so bizarre to me, the concept of it. And the way that algorithm works, like a
Yeah.
video can just blow up overnight. You don't have control over that unless you delete the video. So I think that was the scariest part. And both my parents are teachers as well, school teachers. So it's always been drilled into me like, you must be careful what you post online.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have a private account, this, that. It was never like a thing to do social media. So I
Mm.
think that was very scary. I was like, oh my God, no, this is so bad. I'm gonna go to jail, like that. But yeah, I think that was the scariest part.
That's it's 17 too. That's a lot for an older person to take on. I remember one time I for a little bit was involved in improv comedy here in the United States, and I was at Second City, I was at UCB very briefly, and I had this conversation with one of the people there about, how do you get yourself out there? Obviously, everybody there is trying to make it in comedy, trying to get their name out with different sketches and stuff. And working your way up to be on a main show takes a very long time. And I was having this conversation about how, you could make a TikTok and get yourself in front of millions of people potentially. And I ended up trying making one. I made like four or five, and one of them did blow up. Not to this degree, but I remember I woke up and there was like, I had like hundreds of thousands of notifications, and I'd seen like, I got like a couple million views. And at first I was ecstatic. And then I had this moment where I was reading through a lot of the comments where people had like tagged their other people, and I got really freaked out because I was like, I'm not even like a person to them. I'm just like this
Mm,
thing on their phone, and they're having their own lives, their own experiences with their own friends, and I'm just like this little entertainer that's a part of it. And I ended up deleting it because that freaked me out so much because I was like, it did this it all of my social media connections were with real people up until that point. And now it's people that I don't know who they are. They could be wherever.
yeah, and that's how they view you as well.
Mm,
Like it can be a bit dehumanizing at times. The
mm.
scariest part is when people comment on your post like about you, not to you. I
Yeah.
know I get comments sometimes, trying to think of an example, but it would say something like, "What is she doing?" or something like that, rather than like, "What are
Mm,
you doing?" Because they're commenting
mm,
on my post. They literally say it like, "I'm not the person who's posted the video." Like it's so
mm.
I don't remember social media being like that several years ago. Like I think it's a new thing where people genuinely comment about a person on their own post, like they'll never
Yeah.
see it, like they're not a real human. And I made a
Yeah.
video quite recently, actually, kind of saying, I see what you guys say. Like I see your comments, I see every DM. You'd be surprised, like I don't get that many. Like my partner does social media as well
Mm,
and has a lot more followers than I do, and he also doesn't get loads. Like maybe it's
mm,
more than the normal person, but it's manageable. And I read every single one, and I read every single comment,
mm.
and I see it all. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, really?" Like I wouldn't have thought that. Yeah,
What do you think that is?
probably largely it's like oversaturation. There's just so many people now
Mm,
on the internet, especially on TikTok where the For You page is so random, like
yeah.
anyone and everyone sort of crops up that I think it's hard for people to genuinely see you as a real person or like have that association and connection because that's a lot of energy to give to every single person who comes up on your feed.
Yeah.
So I think it's largely just because of oversaturation and like so many people posting now.
I wonder too, like, it seems that almost comments have become a performative art in and of itself on top of the posting. Like, there is the art of the post and, making the video and editing and all that sort of stuff. And then there are some videos that I'll see and I'll immediately know, like, I need to go to the comments. I need to see what the
Mhm.
comments are on this. And though comments become a performative art in and of themselves where they're commenting, like you said, about you, not to you, but to everybody else to make,
To get attention.
entertainment at your expense.
Yes, yes. And it can be a blessing and a curse because,
Mm,
you know, it's a curse because they could say something really awful and it's like great. But it can be a blessing because if they spark any level of controversy
yeah.
within that comment, more people are going to reply to that.
Mm.
And then your video is going to get more views, basically.
How do you process all of that, especially with like the volume that it can come with?
Um, I don't know if I do. Like I see it as a very different world
Mhm.
to my own life. And the only time any comment will affect me or anything really holds any value is when it's from somebody I know. I'm very big on
Mm,
the whole, if you don't know me, like actually know me, who I am, then what you say doesn't really matter to me.
right.
So I think it did probably hurt at first, when you get the odd negative comment. But over time you just realize that you can't post anything without somebody not liking it. And it goes for any video in the world. You could be like a saint posting on social media
Yeah,
and you are still going to get hate comments. So I think you just kind of have to accept it at the end of the day as part of the gig, really.
absolutely. So with like this, with the social media stuff, you said like it's kind of like a separate thing almost. What I would love to know is it's almost kind of like your life has become a business. Like the things you do are now a part of your business, and it's your life. Do you sort of see that, when you think back to like previous to social media when your life was very private, do you feel like you still have the private life, or do you feel like this business of you has sort of made that impossible at this point?
I would say I very much still have the private life.
Mm,
What we do on social media, so I'm very fortunate in the position I'm in because I do it, my partner does it, his brother does it, and what we do is genuine. It is
yeah.
legit. Like when we were in Monaco, that's like a big video of mine.
Mm,
Like getting out a car in the casino and like going out.
mm,
That was genuine. We were actually getting out of a car in Monaco and we were like pretending to be the rich kids of Monaco for a day. We I don't struggle too much anymore trying to find the balance between, okay, what is life that I live and what is life that we film? Because
mm,
we plan our life out knowing what we're going to film and what we're not. Like my
yeah.
partner and I just got back from a week in Verona, and that was very much a trip for us. Like we
Mm,
didn't, I think we filmed on one day, because I had a like last minute brand deal that I needed to sort of film. But other than that, I mean, we could have filmed so much, but we didn't
mm.
because we were making it for us. Whereas, what's an example? Like Fashion Week. I'm going to Fashion Week because I'm gonna film content there, basically. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty. I feel very able to distinguish the two different worlds, kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you have content like that, how do you sort of go about approaching it? I would assume you like it's sort of a little bit of being aware of what your brand is.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of know what works, what doesn't.
Mm.
I fell into this whole wag niche, which is hilarious because people get really, I mean, most people love it, but some people
Yeah.
get really triggered. It's like, guys, I like it's ironic. I'm not
Yeah.
out here being like I'm a Kenya slalom wag. Like I'm on the course when it's a race week getting rained on, stood in mud. I'm not like it's not glamorous and I'm not claiming it is, but like
Yeah.
people get really irritated as well that I like compare it to tennis wags or Formula One wags. And it's like, yeah, because if I didn't, like no one's searching up canoe slalom wag. Like they're just not, So I'm like
Yeah.
leeching off the back of a bigger thing to
Yeah.
give the thing that I have more exposure.
Yeah.
Um, so remind me of your initial question. Sorry, I went a
Yeah,
little bit
so
off.
I was just sort of like you have this content to produce, right? Like you're going on a trip or whatever, like you said, and it's content week, I'm gonna rip out a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna work hard. You go to Fashion Week, you sort of have certain deliverables. I was very interested in how you like approach that and how it's maybe evolved. I'm assuming there's a lot of trial and error of figuring out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of admin that goes into it. I sit at home um for hours and I plan the videos like to a T.
Mm,
So I know exactly what I'm filming, exactly what I'm wearing. I have fun doing it and it really is like life, like I am
yeah.
actually going to a fashion show, meeting people, enjoying it, but I have planned out exactly what I'm wearing and what I'm going to film when I was
Mm,
there, kind of thing. Sometimes videos kind of accidentally form. The Monaco video, for example, me getting out the car, that was planned.
okay.
That's a fun story. I'll tell you about that in a
Yeah.
second. But my most viewed one is the recent one. I'm at a fashion show in London wearing this dress, and I'm like, little me never could have imagined being here. That was not planned. I just had footage and I looked like a lost puppy in so much of it that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna like clip this together, and then it did crazy well. I think because
Yeah.
a lot people related to it. I've had a lot of like celebrities, I guess, like it and save it, I think because they probably relate to it as well.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool. But yeah, that was accidental. But the Monaco video. So we were staying on this yacht in Monaco
Hmm.
for content.
Yeah.
Like we rented it out. We were on a way to a race in Italy and we were driving there because we have the boats. So you can't really fly it. Well, you can, but you're risking the boat getting broken. So we drove there, but it's a really long drive from where we are. So we were like, should we just like stop off halfway in Monaco?
Mm.
Let's do it. So we were on this yacht for 2 days, and I just all over my For You page, there were just these classic shots of like, really wealthy, like Monaco people getting out the cars, walking in. And I was like, I want that like so badly. I just think it would be great for a video. So we were looking at car rentals, and there was just nothing like it was either stupidly expensive or you had to have certain years on your license or whatever. So we're like, okay, we can't do this. But the owner of the yacht, he said, "Oh, I've got a Bentley," and it was some sort
Mm.
of like bougie Bentley. I'm not too well versed on cars, and I was like, "Okay, sick." So he was like, "I can drive you round, but you're only going to have one shot to do it because
Mm.
you can't like park there like unless you're a Formula One driver. You don't. They're not going to treat you very like
Yeah.
as nice as they do with them." So okay, so we were sat in the dining room of this yacht. I was like, this is just like a scene from Knives Out or something. It was crazy. We're sat in the dining room like it was some sort of like business meeting, and it was literally like we were executing like an army plan. It was like, okay, and the owner had this pen and paper, and he was like drawing out what it looks like and where we're going to drive in, and like it was a proper map. And then my boyfriend's brother and mum were going to do the filming, so we were like positioning them at their
Hmm.
points on the and then we're saying where we were going to drive in. Then we're in the car and we're calling them. We're saying, okay, we're 2 minutes away. Get your cameras ready. We've got this one shot. And then we do it. We pull up and we get the shot. And I was like, it's going to do well. I think it's going to do well. So yeah,
Wow.
that was so fun. I love doing stuff like that. It felt like a military operation. It was sick.
What a rush too. You get one shot at it as well, and you're like, what we get is what we get, and we may blow it, but we're gonna try.
Yeah, we had because we were sat in the back seat because it was there was two of us and he was driving.
Yeah.
So, but my partner was in the front seat, so he had to basically because it was only a two-door car,
Mm.
he had to like pull the seat back to like let me get out, and I was like, don't mess it up, okay? We need like a slick video where you get out, come around, slick, you open it, I come out. So I was like, do not mess up. So he practiced like 3 or 4 times before the actual shot, but it went perfectly. So yeah, it was really
This whole experience of like getting into this world and like seeing how like the sausage is made, for lack of a better expression, has this like do you see videos now on your feed and you're like, oh, I wonder how they did that, or talking to other creators and being like, how did you do this? How did you make this video?
yeah. I I guess I do. Yeah, I less so like I wonder how, more so I want to do it as well.
Mm.
I think a lot of it stems from my love for acting. That scene, I see. I even just called it a
Yeah.
scene. That video that we shot in Monaco was
Yeah.
it very much resembled being on set. It's like you got
Yeah.
one chance. Like if you have pyrotechnics on set and you've only got enough for one take. So it's like, okay, we have to do it. This is the plan. We call action. You get your phones out. Like it very much felt like that. So I had that level of excitement for it. Um, because acting will always be my number one, like what I
Yeah.
want to do. So I think I've started to make my content, it's shifted a lot over the last 2 years to
Mhm.
being more like this sort of, the content I've been posting recently. And that is because it resembles being on set more like
Mhm.
orchestrated scenes, and I love that. I love the excitement behind it. Yeah.
How have you found that it's been translating so far into your acting pursuit?
Oh, do you know what? It's so hard to say because when I was growing up, I was very much taught, especially in drama school, you have your personal account and then you have an acting account. You must not post
Mm,
anything on your account that goes against acting. And, it was very traditional. And now, it's only been in the last 5 years that people who do social media have had the opportunity to act as well, or vice versa.
yeah.
And I think nobody really knows the
Mm,
sort of etiquette behind it. As long as I'm not posting anything that would explicitly go against acting, I
mm.
think I can't imagine it would help much, but I also can't imagine it would deter like an agent or a casting director.
What would go against act? Would it be like the like vlog stuff? Would that be like against
Um,
acting?
so I met with an agent recently, and an example she gave me was, let's say I did a collab with a lingerie brand, for example, which
Oh,
I personally wouldn't do anyway. That just doesn't really sit within my like. I'm not comfortable enough to do that. But
mm,
let's say I did, Disney then wouldn't want to work with me
right.
because
Okay.
Disney have strict guidelines. So just things like that. But maybe being very, very controversial,
Yeah.
outwardly extremely political or whatever, which
Mm,
is a shame. I think everyone should be allowed to sort of like say their opinions. But
yeah.
yeah, just like that, I guess, would probably inhibit it.
It almost seems it's like a very early on thing where if like, you get down the road and you've been able to be like a Bond girl and you've been able to headline all these movies, then you can kind of do whatever you want because you have the backup. But early on, you do have to, play it safe and play the politics of it.
Yeah, I guess it's when they just don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a risk at the moment
Mm,
for any casting director to take me on because I don't have loads under my belt.
yeah.
It's not like they can plop like Jennifer Lawrence in a movie and know that it's going to sell. That I would
Yeah.
be more of a risk. So I just don't want to do anything
Mhm.
that could make them consider me to be even more of a risk. I want to be perfect for them right now.
Do the followers help though with that of saying like, if you can come and say, I have however many followers, I can get eyes on this film in a, obviously may not in a Jennifer Lawrence kind of way, but you can still generate a decent amount of buzz and do marketing and publicity on your own.
Yeah, potentially. I think it's more of a beneficial thing once you're sort of in. I don't think
Mm,
it would be a selling point or a large enough selling point to, let's say there's me and somebody else and we're the last two people going down for a role.
mhm.
They wouldn't choose me because of my following. It would be like an added bonus once I'm in. Oh yeah, and
Okay.
she's got a amount of followers, so let's use her to like promote it a little bit. But I
Gotcha.
think it's still pretty traditional, the acting world and the way it
Mhm.
works. So I think they don't care too much about that. I think it can
Gotcha.
be good for visibility. Like
Yeah.
I more if I follow an agent or a casting director on
Mm,
Instagram, they are more likely to see that I followed them than somebody else
that's a good
because
point.
naturally, if you have more followers, your notification gets pushed
Yeah.
up in their inbox. So it's good for that, but it can work. It can work either way. I don't know. I try not to talk about it when I'm speaking with people in the acting industry too much because I don't want
Yeah.
it to like I'm an influencer and I want to act. I want it to be like I'm an actress. Oh, and I happen to do this.
Do you feel that that it comes across just like how similar, like you said, like the making of a single TikTok is to the process of shooting a scene in a movie? Do you think that, like, do you feel like that comes across in like the acting world to acting agents, or do they sort of look at it like, that's not really it versus like if you did like a YouTube short or something, you made a movie, right? Maybe that would be more, they're like, okay, I see the translation here.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they do.
Mm,
Which sucks because it's like I have done this my whole life, way before I ever thought about doing social media.
yeah.
Um, so I really hope that, if something massive were to come out for me acting wise, there wouldn't be any sort of stigma behind it.
Mm.
Regarding the social media side of things. I'm hoping there isn't. I think the world's changing and people are getting more accepting of it for sure.
Yeah, well, that was what I was going to ask is, do you think it's just like a generational thing of, our generation just understands these things more? And I think just seeing the vlogs, kind of put into perspective like how much work actually goes into these things and how similar it is. And, I know how many people that I was with through improv that wanted to go the traditional route of get up, be an extra on a TV show, be a second on a TV show, maybe get on SNL or whatever sketch show, do stand up, that sort of thing, who transitioned into just being influencers because they realized they can essentially, still do the skits and they can still build up their career that way. And I think you see it with especially like SNL casting that traditional route is very much starting to change, and they're starting just now, however many years into social media we are, that this is a very valid route of art, and that just because someone is in this space doesn't mean they don't have the traditional background of ballet and acting and pantomime and all of these bases that would make them a great candidate for a movie, great for a role.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is in the teaching. As I mentioned before, when I went to drama school, like that is the way that they told us. There is
Mm,
no other way to get into acting other than to follow the traditional route of acting school, agent, auditions, work.
mm,
That it was not taught in any other way. So I think that's a large part of it. But for sure, I'm seeing so many influencers now like getting acting roles and they're actually really good. um the proof is in the pudding. I don't think you should judge until you actually see, and also knowing the way the acting industry works.
mhm.
I know that they would have had to really fight to get that role. That would not have been handed to them. I mean, okay, maybe it is sometimes with like certain shows I can think of, but
Yeah.
mostly the way the acting industry works, you have audition after audition after audition.
Mm.
And okay, maybe they were auditioning that influencer, but they were also probably auditioning 10 other influencers and five other big names in the acting industry, and then 500 other unknown actresses. They really would have had to actually fight for that role. So um, I think they deserve it. Yeah.
With the with that kind of being, I would imagine like as you start to make your way up the influencer, the world, followers start to go up, content starts to go more and more viral more often, that the number of people in your stratosphere, slowly starts to shrink down and you start to meet people and you kind of know who people are. Do you feel the networking side of it has brought you, a lot of genuine friendships, or do you feel it's a lot more of like these, maybe traditional like they're professional relationships, but there is an understanding of competition to a degree.
Hmm. Honestly, I'm really bad at the events side of things.
Mm,
I think my partner and I have become very domesticated, and we like we just like staying in, and so we don't go out maybe as much as we should. I'm really trying to go to more events this year just because
yeah.
it's kind of part of the job. Um, but my friends that I have, the people in my close circle, I have been friends with for the last 10 years. Like
Mm,
I really haven't long lasting connections, at least I really haven't made any since I started social media.
mhm.
Obviously I've got the acquaintances and
Yeah.
the people I meet, but my only close friends and my only close circle are people that I have known since childhood. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you feel like
It's
that's,
all, no, sorry, go for it.
I was to say, do you feel like that's been something that's helped you a lot and like something like, imagining you sort of 2 years after this big viral moment, right? And you're like, all right, I'm gonna dive back into this and knowing kind of what could happen, obviously, and could happen again. Was that something that kind of came to your mind of like, I have these great friends. I'm more mature. I have more of a background. I'm older. I feel more confident going into this that I can handle these ups and downs.
For sure, yeah, and it's so good as well because when I recently went through some like shtick on social media, like a big controversy or
Mm,
whatnot, and all that I just got was like my friends, even friends like old friends I haven't spoken to in years, messaging me saying, "You're such a great person. I hope you're okay. Just know that I'm here and I love you."
mm,
And I got it from so many people, and it was just so nice, like
mhm,
that is why I think it's so important to have friends not in your industry because
mm,
despite anything going on, I had people that are close to me and that I love basically just telling me that it's all nonsense and that they love me and they know who I am as a person. It's very grounding for sure. I mean, it's hilarious as well. Like I went to an event a year ago and I was allowed 2+1s. So I took my friends Alex and George, and they are like the most anti-social media people in the world. Like George is a bartender and Alex, he was volunteering full, like pretty much full time at the time at a soup kitchen, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
I was like, do you guys want to come to this event? And they said, sure. And it's this massive venue like in central London, completely free drinks the whole night, to the
Hmm.
point where they were handing us the bottles of like straight Jaeger, rather than, it was insane. And it's
Yeah.
just full of influencers. And they were probably the only two people there that didn't even really know what TikTok was. And it was just hilarious watching them interact. And everybody loved them so much because it was refreshing,
Yeah.
to have some people there that just didn't care about what they said or did. And actually, that was probably the event I made the most connections at, because I am maybe sometimes a bit shy or uncertain of going up to someone because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but they were just going out talking to everyone. And so I made some really cool connections from that. Because they had zero inhibitions really with it. So yeah.
Do you, if I had told you like before, whatever this controversy was happened, that all of this, like all these people were going to reach out, would you have believed me, you think?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I think so. I think I'm very confident of my friends.
Yeah.
Like I moved to London, God, 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago,
Mhm.
and it was a long time where I didn't have friends, because I dropped out of drama school and I left my job, and so like I was in a very tricky place to make friends,
Yeah.
and I met so many people, and I could have made them all friends,
Hmm.
but I was conscious to really only sort of develop friendships with people I actually could see a long-term friendship with. So
Hmm.
I'm very, very grateful for the friends that I have, and I would know that they would stand up for me any day of the week. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, when you have opportunities that start to pop up like this, whether it's in fashion or modeling or whatever, knowing that your eye is on the prize of acting, how do you evaluate these opportunities that come your way? Is it something where you're like, it would just be super cool to go to Fashion Week? Or in your mind, are you thinking like, maybe this could lead to that, it could lead to this, could get me into where I need to go? I'm assuming like you've gotten opportunities for maybe shows that were like reality shows potentially or stuff like that. Like, how do you evaluate all of these things that aren't acting as they come your way?
Yes. For things like Fashion Week, I think being in the industry can't hurt,
Mm,
acting, fashion, music, all that sort of thing. Like, as long as I'm staying in it, that is what kind of feeds me and that's what I thrive off of. So I'm always going to do things like that. You mentioned reality shows. That is a big no for me at the moment,
hmm.
because it's if there's anything, like, if going from social media to acting is potentially controversial, going from reality TV to acting, a lot worse. So not my opinion. I'm saying like the
Yeah,
public,
yeah.
view it. So that's a big no for me at the moment. If maybe 10 years time, still nothing's like really taken off, then screw it. Maybe I'll go on something. But for now, for now, it's a big no. I also just don't think I could hack it. Like I just don't think I'm cut out for reality TV. I would just laugh too much at everything going on. Um, so yeah, I think as long as I'm staying in the world,
Mhm.
that is genuinely what gets me going and gets me excited. So I'll always try and say yes to every opportunity that comes up. Yeah.
Do you feel like this has been a very artistically fulfilling endeavor for you so far?
Uh, in the beginning, maybe not so much
Hmm.
because I did just fall into social media. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I was sort of trying every single type of video and seeing what stuck. But since I've fallen into fashion and that kind of ending up being my niche, it has been so fulfilling. I
Mm.
love it so much. I love, again, it kind of stems back to the acting. I get to put on a costume or like an
Mm.
outfit that sort of brings out a different side of myself.
Mhm.
So many actors say they can only really become the character when they put on the costume.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true for fashion. Like, I love it because I can put that dress on and kind of feel like a different person for the evening. Still me, but a different side of myself, you know? So I love that. And I love planning out outfits and like seeing what works. And yeah, I love it.
That's so cool. Has this been like, if I'd kind of gone back to you a few years ago and I said, think about what you think this journey is going to be for you, of, you're going back on social media, there's things that are going to be potentially there. Has it been what you thought it was going to be, or has it just been completely different?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I like I always thought I was gonna live in London
Yeah.
and I mean I had no idea. I left drama school when I was 17 and I was suddenly out of education,
Yeah.
which you have to be in education until 18 in the UK, but I sort of like just didn't do my like it was weird, but I was out of education, living on my own in London,
Yeah.
working in a coffee shop. I had no idea where I was going.
Do you feel like all of these cool opportunities have changed how, like, you said you just went away for like a very personal vacation, but like you get to do all of these very cool things just for work. How do you go about planning a vacation now? Is it like, oh, it's just these other things that I want to do, or are you just like, I actually just want to chill and maybe not do anything?
Vacations are about chill. Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm just naturally who I am. I need a to-do list and I'm very planned and organized.
Yeah.
And so the course at the moment where my partner trains is switched off because they're doing some like renovations.
Hmm.
So my partner came to me and he said we should go away because I can't train. You've got some time, so let's go away. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start planning everything. And he said, no, absolutely, you're not. Like, we're going to go and we're not going to go with a single plan and we're just going to see what happens. So I would say that's the biggest distinction between when we travel for a content shoot and when we
Yeah.
travel for just passion and love and, you know, enjoying it. One has a massive to-do list and itinerary and the other one has nothing.
So you have like all of the planning that you like to do. Do you, when you look at like the bigger picture, take that planning into that? Or have you at this point gone, like you said, there's just so many things that have just kind of fallen into place. And just by letting life happen to me, so many cool things have happened. Have you sort of taken, the hands off and been like, what, maybe macro level, I'm not going to be so hands on? Or you're like, I'm just incapable of that. I need to plan.
I need to plan. Yeah. And also I would say that whilst stuff has happened and you know, I'm very fortunate to have ended up in this situation.
Mhm.
I worked so like darn hard for this. You know, I 2 years ago when I started social media, I was only getting £50 for a like ad post, you know.
Mhm.
So and that was when I had 50,000, 60,000 followers. I see people with
Mm.
like 2,000 followers charging like 2 grand for a post. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I was working for £50 for a post when I had 60K. So I actually was a social media manager for multiple different brands.
Okay.
I never speak about it or show it, but probably some drinks brands that you know, I
Yeah.
ran their social media. So I worked really hard. I was managing 4 different
Hmm.
brand accounts on top of my own,
Mm.
which was a lot of filming, a lot of planning, a lot of strategy behind it, trying to make things go viral. Um, yeah, and I say it sounds bad, but I try and capitalize off of my life. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned at the beginning, you know, you've filmed your life and you film things going on in it, and that's because I'm trying to think cleverly about it. And okay, if my partner is an athlete, is he an athlete in Formula One? No. Is he an athlete in tennis? No. But how can I capitalize off of him being an athlete
Yeah.
to sort of elevate myself into a well-known world and topic on social media, which is wag life?
Hmm.
Um, so I always make sure the hooks in my videos, I'm drawing connections between more well-known wags or more well-known sports to then connect the canoe slalom aspect to it. And it works pretty well. So there's a lot of thinking and planning that goes into it, and basically just making the most of the situation I'm in and the opportunities. Yeah.
Do you feel like this has almost functioned as like a journal almost of your life, or does it not feel like authentic enough quite to call it like a diary in a way?
I would say it's what is on social media is extremely authentic.
Yeah,
Like I am not nothing gets put on there that didn't actually happen, you know.
right.
I'm not like faking any part of it. I might be linking it to a bigger
Yeah.
sport or a more well-known thing, but it actually did happen. But I only put such a small proportion of my life on social media that I don't think you can get a full authentic view of me
Okay.
from my social media. But what I put on is authentic. Yeah, I think it's, but you know, it's one 30-second video a day. It's hard to sort of put who I am as a person entirely into that.
Is there anything about you that you feel like is not currently portrayed through social media that you wish could be portrayed?
Probably that I don't know. I think a lot of people just assume it's easy.
Mm,
You know, there's a lot of comments, she's just a wag, she doesn't have her own autonomy or her own visions or whatever. I actually literally this morning or maybe last night posted a video about my acting. And there's a lot of comments on it like, oh my goodness, I didn't know you did this. Because I don't do it as well as I want to do it yet. So I don't want to
yeah.
show that yet. But yeah, a lot of misconceptions that, you know, I'm a gold digger or that I don't have any autonomy basically when it's not easy to get the amount like 250 followers on social media. Like I had to work for that, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just you can't just post anything. You do have to think about the logistics and the algorithm, and there's a lot of thinking that goes behind it. And also never gold digged because gold digged, is that the correct way of saying
Bulldog.
it? Gold dug. When I met my partner, he was just starting out pro, zero money. I paid for everything. I paid for the
Yeah.
flights, the accommodation. So, you know, so what if he pays for a business class flight now? Like, you know, I was never in it for that. So yeah, I think a lot of people like to assume that, but
Yeah. I would
yeah,
love to know about the business side of things. So you mentioned like you charging 50 pounds and you got tens of thousands of followers. You know, how have you, given that your background is, acting, I'm assuming not a ton of finance classes while you were at school. How have you managed like that side of things and like learning how to navigate that space?
yeah. Well, I mean, I was always very hardworking in school. Like I said, I wanted to be a doctor, so I was
Mm,
in the top classes for English and math and science and stuff. My parents were very upset that I didn't go into something super academic because they were like, "You could, you'd be so good," but I was like, "Sorry, I want to do acting." So I'm pretty good at learning as I go. And yeah, like you said, in the beginning it was £50 for a post. I mean,
mm,
I would have wanted to charge more, but that's what people were saying. So I like to think I'm pretty business savvy, but it's such a new industry that
mm.
they really don't teach this in school, you know. So I've had to figure out a lot along the way and sort of just figure out how to justify how I value myself.
Mm.
You know, I there's no guidebook on saying how much you should charge for a post, and
Yeah.
a lot of it depends on engagement as well. You know, you may have 100,000 followers, but you might be getting 1 million views on every video. At
Yeah.
which point, in theory, you should be charging the same amount as someone with 1 million followers if they're getting 1 million views per video. Because at the end of the day, it's about
Mm.
your engagement and how many people are seeing your videos, because there are so many people nowadays that have millions of followers and barely scrape 10K views on a video, just because of the way the algorithm has changed over time. Now it doesn't really matter how many followers you have on TikTok, at least. It doesn't really matter your follower count. Every video is judged individually. So people don't realize how important engagement is, and that you
Mm.
really can up your selling value if you have good engagement.
How do you stay up to date with the algorithm? Is it just one of these things that like you just kind of have to figure out on your own, or is it more just like, talking to people and, workshopping? I know Mr. Beast probably most famously loves to, meet up with content creators and just talk algorithm for hours and how they can figure it out. And I don't do like the companies at a certain point, like if you just email them, like, what's going on? Like, what's the algorithm? Are they telling you?
I think even the algorithm doesn't know what the algorithm is. I really don't like I mean, it's technology that is outsmarting itself every single day.
Yeah.
So I think to try and devote your life to understanding it, you're going to go down a vicious cycle.
Mm,
I kind of let it happen, and
okay.
I try to be aware of it. And if I see something changing, if I see a trend popping up, I will try and jump on it, and create my own version of it. But to try and be ahead of it, I commend anyone who can do that because I don't have the mental capacity, I don't think, to try and outsmart the algorithm. Yeah.
So as you sort of look forward, the next couple, how far do you usually like to plan things out?
6 months, maybe. I
Six
mean,
months?
obviously I have my goals for, by in 3 years' time, I want to film a big movie.
Yeah,
But in terms of actually logistical planning, 6 months, I'd say.
6 months. So is that something that you work forward from where you say, all right, this is where I want to get to, and this is where I am right now. How can I use these and kind of go forward? Or are you more of like a reverse engineer of like, this is where I want to get to, and these are the steps I think working back to where I am?
I would say it's a mix of both. I have
Okay.
things that I know I need to do. So ski season is coming around here in
Mm,
France, and my skiing content is a big part of my content. So I
okay.
know once a month I have to be going on a ski trip. So
Okay.
that sort of builds the foundation of my plan for the next 6 months. I know I'm going to have to be in London for this appointment or this meeting at X time. So I put in all the mandatory dates and the mandatory trips. And then with that free time in between, I try and use that to work towards my end goals. So I'll kind of fill in the gaps around that. Can I do a acting class here? Can I meet this person here? Can I maybe try and audition for this film and shoot it in this gap?
Mhm.
So yeah, I try and just build it all around that.
So when you think back to, 11-year-old you who gets told like, hey, have you ever considered acting? Sort of being able to look back with now almost, it's over a decade, almost a decade, around a decade
Over
past
a
then.
decade.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. If you could go back and tell that person like, hey, I can't tell you what's gonna happen, but these are sort of the big things I've learned so far. What would those be for you?
Don't stress so much at school. That would be a big thing that I would tell my younger self. I stressed so I mean, I didn't even end up sitting my A levels, which is like a big, big, big thing in the UK. Like you have to be in education until you're 18, whether that be an apprenticeship or college or a BTEC
Yeah.
or A levels. You have to do something, and I just like didn't. Um, and if you'd have told 13-year-old me, I would have had a heart attack, and I would have thought that I was going to be a failure in life. So my GCSEs, which are like the SATs in the
Yeah.
US, I kind of lost myself so much over them, and they genuinely mean absolutely nothing. I've never used them once in anything. Um, so I would probably say chill out about that.
Mm.
If anything, go out a bit more, meet some more people, go to that party, like share your glue stick with the person next to you in class so that you can make more friends, like stop sort of stressing so much about school. Um, and then I would say listen to your gut, I think would be my
Mm.
my second piece of advice because when I left drama, it wasn't just for half a decade. It was, I'm going to go to London, I'm going to go to drama school, this is going to be my life. And then after 3 months, I knew it wasn't right for me and that I wanted to leave. And that was a really hard decision because what I had planned to be my life for now the next 3 or 4 years was suddenly gone. So I was sort of weighing up, do I leave, do I not? But leaving was the best decision I could have ever made. So I would say listen to your gut.
Mm,
And the third piece of advice I would give myself is don't there will be somebody in your life when you move to London
mm,
who is going to take a lot of time away from yourself and working on your dreams and your own ambitions. Try not to
mm,
give as much time to them mentally as maybe I did, because I think it's like a
mm,
canon event for any young girl, like or guy sort of
mm,
moving to a new place. You can meet this person and like let them sort of take over your life. And
mm.
I think for a long time I did that, and it potentially put my career back by like a year. But then again, I was 18, like you're supposed to have fun when you're 18. But yeah, I would just say just view yourself, like value who you are as a person, and make sure you're always putting yourself first and your career first. Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful message to end on. Georgia, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, a very reflective time.
Let people know where they can find you.
Sure, yeah. TikTok and Instagram underscore Georgia
Mm.
North. But if you type in Gigi North, it will probably come up as well.
I'll make sure to link everything in the show description. So thank you so much, and hopefully get you back on soon. I would love to once you get a movie, hear about how that's going and
Oh
all
yeah,
that
stay
stuff.
tuned. You're gonna be like the first. Like this will have been a good investment, I promise. In 3 years' time, you're gonna get me back on, and I'll be like, you'll be the first person whoever
I,
did
I
say.
I would love that. I want to hear about that. That was at one point, definitely a goal of mine, and I kind of got honestly through my improv experience, got scared out of it because I went and I saw these, I'd say the 35, 40-year olds who had been very successful in the business. And then I saw their lives. Like they had written on all these comedy shows that I had loved, written on Seinfeld and Parks and Rec. And I was like, oh my gosh, like these guys this is the best. These dudes are awesome. And like hearing about all the things they had to sacrifice and just never had a family, or if they did, they're divorced, they don't see their kids. And I was like, man, that's a lot to sacrifice for some jokes. And I was like, how much do I want this? And so not to say I chickened out, but I definitely was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. This is a big
Mm.
sacrifice. And like you said, you really have to roll the dice on yourself. And so I
Yeah.
think that, anyone who can do that is it's so admirable to me. And I find it very inspiring. And, ultimately I've gone on to do that in other areas of my life, starting a business and stuff. But, people who can do that just have my total respect, even if
Mm.
other people don't appreciate the hard work that goes into it.
One thing I would like to hope though is that I think now in 2025, as we're learning more about, mental health and well-being,
Yeah.
I do think that this idea that you have to be drunk all the time or high all the time,
Mm,
like, have no real connections and whatever to be like successful in the industry, I think that is starting to go away. For me, my main priority is always to achieve my dreams healthily and to
yeah.
achieve my dreams while still being happy and having my family and my friends, because at the end of the day, whilst acting and getting a massive role in something would fulfill me so
Mm,
much, like it's incomprehensible. I know, on my deathbed, I think the only thing that will really truly fulfill me is knowing that I had people around me that I loved.
yeah.
So that's always going to be something that I prioritize and put before anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Just I kept a very, 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 very small social media for a very long time for that very same reason of like, I know once I think Dave Chappelle, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
he's he has a very good quote that always stuck with me where he said, "You can become famous, but you can't become unfamous. You can become infamous, but not unfamous." And that always really stuck with me of like, well, once I open this door, I can't close it. And I coached college ice hockey for a little bit, and there was a girl on the team who had a similar thing of I don't know exactly what went viral, but something about her went viral and woke up 20,000 followers the next day. And she turned off her Instagram immediately and was just like, it's so many people that can look into my life. And we talked about it one time, and I sort of said, I'm like, the door is open, and outside of what you're doing of just totally cutting the cables, there's nothing that's really ever gonna make this go away. And that is an incredible mental burden to, like, you gotta think, like, what other time in history, what other situation would you have this many followers? You'd have to be the queen of a kingdom to have this many followers.
Yeah, and that's just the world we live in now. Your life is completely accessible to, even if you're not on social media, you can be walking down the street and someone with a ring light and a camera can come up to you. And because it's allowed, because it is legal, I
Yeah.
think, apparently, to film people in the street, you could post that and they can be seen by millions of people. So
Mm.
uh there's just anonymity,
Anonymity.
anonymity, there we go, is not really possible, I don't
Yeah.
think, which
Well,
is, a shame, but
yeah, we'll see how it plays out. All right. Have a good one, everybody.